The Arizona Mexican Mafia. Several Hispanic inmates within Arizona's prison system brought the concept and organizational philosophy of the original Mexican Mafia, which was founded in California in 1957. The formation of this new Arizona Mexican Mafia began in around 1974 by a new group of Hispanic inmates, which formed their own Mexican Mafia within the Arizona State Prison in Florence. Just 4 years later, however, this new group would split into rival factions. The two factions would be called one, the original Mexican Mafia, which basically maintained the initial philosophy and is sometimes referred to as the Califas faction. The second group was known as the New Mexican Mafia, which became prominent around 1984 and would develop its own distinct rules, regulations, and organizational structures. The two would then begin an ongoing rivalry.
Mays also announcing today the apparent leader of the Arizona Mexican Mafia, who was serving time in federal prison, has confessed to 5 gang-related killings back in the 1990s. She says Paul Eppinger admitted to his role in the murders during a financial fraud investigation. Mays says that he has been convicted of unlawfully receiving pandemic unemployment funds in a scheme that ripped off the state and federal government. She says a number of Arizona inmates and their associates submitted false claims to get benefits. Eppinger is serving life in federal prison and has been sentenced to 25 years for each of the murders.
Just tied 5 cold case murders to the man who ran what was once considered the most dangerous criminal organization in Arizona.
Those murders date back to the 1990s, and detectives say their big break came while they were looking into claims of unemployment fraud during the pandemic. Derek Stahl live for us in the newsroom tonight with more on this notorious gang leader at the center of it all. Derek.
Yeah, this is 64-year-old Paul Eppinger. Prosecutors say he was the leader of the Arizona Mexican Mafia. He's currently serving a life sentence in federal prison. This group is notorious for killing witnesses, killing informants, and continuing their criminal activity from behind bars. In fact, there's an Arizona Republic article from 2000 that lays out a lot of this group's vicious behavior. They called it Arizona's most dangerous criminal organization. The article describes how a man named David Gano was preparing to testify against the gang in the 90s when he was shot dead in front of a Buckeye supermarket by 2 men wearing tan bandanas. Well, decades later, prosecutors say Paul Eppinger confessed to that killing and 4 others in the 90s, where he took down potential informants and people he suspected of disloyalty. Today, I just spoke with a former undercover gang detective, Matt Browning. He says the Arizona Mexican Mafia operates like an organized crime family, similar to New York mob families like the Gambinos or the Bonanos.
When Paul Eppinger said to do something, it got done. And if his soldiers wouldn't do it, then he would take care of it himself. Extremely violent. But, you know, when you put the violence with the smarts and you bring those two together, that's where you should be in fear for your life and in fear for your community. And that's what Paul did.
The Arizona Attorney General's office says they were able to get Eppinger to confess to those 5 cold case murders while investigating a fraud scheme where members of the Arizona Mexican Mafia were filing false unemployment claims during the pandemic. 30 people, including Eppinger, were charged in that fraud scheme. And maybe you're wondering, well, why did he give up these 5 murders? Well, these court documents show that in exchange for pleading guilty to those 5 murders, prosecutors agreed to drop charges against one of the 30 people, a woman named Elena Gonzalez. Her charges went away. Eppinger got 25 years in prison for each of the killings, but remember, he's already serving life behind bars. In the newsroom, I'm Derek Stahl for Arizona's Family.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all having a good day. Okay, so we're going to be going back to Arizona for today's video, and this is just kind of a quicker video. It's a story that just broke yesterday and involves the guy basically that is viewed as the leader of the original Arizona Mexican Mafia, a guy by the name of Paul Eppinger. This guy's been locked up for decades, and he just admitted to 5 gang-related killings from the 90s. These were basically cold cases. But what's really interesting about this is he wasn't like being indicted for these or facing crime. He was actually getting in trouble and facing additional time for PPP loan frauds. These were the loans and the fraud that was committed during COVID. And people were taking out these fraudulent loans, claiming they had employees and all these costs of businesses. And they had none of it, right? And basically what goes up must come down. So after COVID and everything kind of, leveled out and things got better, the government is coming to confirm that this money that these people claimed to borrow that for, these business resources and, hey, I got to pay these employees, I got to pay all this overhead costs. It was all just a bunch of BS and basically was just a bunch of fraud being committed. And you even had individuals like Paul Eppinger, who was behind bars at the time, but was directing, people underneath him to, hey, you know what? This is basically like free money right now. Go out, fill out the necessary paperwork, and let's get this cash. And through the course of this investigation and this indictment for this PPP loan frauds, he's already doing a lot of Fed time. He admits to these 5 homicides. And this basically just broke yesterday. So we're going to be reading from that quick article talking about the confession, what the case is related to. And then I found another article that really breaks down some good information about these murders that took place in the 90s. But first, let's start with the initial article. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays announced Tuesday, and that's Tuesday, September 9th, that was literally yesterday, that the apparent leader of the Arizona Mexican Mafia, Paul Eppinger, has confessed to 5 gang-related killings from the 90s. The confession came during a financial fraud investigation by the state. Mays said Eppinger admitted to his role in the homicides while being investigated for a scheme that defrauded the state and federal government of pandemic unemployment benefits. She says that the scheme involved a number of Arizona inmates and their associates who submitted false claims to get benefits. Eppinger, who is already serving a federal life sentence, has now been sentenced to 25 years for each of the 5 homicides. So he's already doing a life sentence in the feds, and life sentence in the feds that's a life sentence. You're never getting out. And I may have misspoke a little bit. I guess this is for unemployment benefits, but it's still all similarly related. These are all COVID fraud benefit. This is all happening around 2020, 2021, 2022, when COVID pandemic and the height of all this stuff was just a time in our world and our society that was totally unseen before. Court documents named the first-degree murder victims as Thomas L. James, Benjamin Hernandez, Carol Romero, David Gano, and Raul Sanchez, who were killed in March, May, and June of 1999. Each murder was gang-related, the AG's office said, and Eppinger provided, quote, detailed confessions of his involvement. Quote, Eppinger's admissions have provided crucial breakthroughs, allowing law enforcement to close these cases and bring a measure of justice to the victims' families after decades. Excuse me, the AG's office said in a press release. All the while, Eppinger has been serving a federal life sentence since 2006 after being convicted of charges including racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder for hire, and aiding and abetting murder for hire. While being investigated in 2024 for the slew of murders committed on behalf of the criminal gang in the 90s, Eppinger agreed to provide information to Phoenix police. Eppinger provided information on his involvement in 4 murders, plus the murder of Thomas James, for which Eppinger was prosecuted in Pinal County. The Arizona Attorney General's office handled the prosecution in both Maricopa County cases and the Pinal County case. Amy Dietrich, Assistant Attorney General, was the prosecutor. The case was prosecuted in Pinal County because, according to Richie Taylor, Communications Director for the Attorney General's office, part of the homicide conspiracy took place there. According to the Pinal County Superior Court, James had been targeted by the Arizona Mexican Mafia, he was suspected to have cooperated with law enforcement and was intending to testify in an upcoming homicide trial. His body was found on March 31st, 1991 in a restroom at the Arizona State Prison Complex in Winslow. Eppinger reportedly told police he participated in the killing and that James was killed with a shovel. An initial investigation on James' death was brought with multiple suspects, including Eppinger, but was ultimately dismissed in 1996. According to the document, Eppinger's account aligns closely with the events included in the initial investigation. Eppinger was charged for James' murder on June 11th and was sentenced 2 months later. In the U.S. District of Arizona case, Eppinger was accused along with co-defendant and crime syndicate members Luis Cisneros, Felipe Cisneros, Raymond Lamas, and Angel Rivera. According to a 2003 Arizona Republic story on the case, the New Mexican Mafia, in which Eppinger at the time was considered a leader, coordinated with Cisneros' Mesa-based gang. According to initial case documents in Eppinger's Pinal County case, he was transferred from the custody of the U.S. Bureau of Prisons' Big Sandy facility in Kentucky, where he was serving out his federal sentence, to face the charges in Pinal County Superior Court. Eppinger provided information to Phoenix police about his involvement in the murders of Benjamin Hernandez, Carol Romero, David Gano, and Raul Sanchez. Those occurred where he was arrested in the federal case. Before he was arrested in the federal case, I misspoke. After pleading guilty to the 4 murders, he was sentenced to 25 years concurrently on each count. I will say this, sometimes, man, when I'm reading through this stuff, it gets so confusing because every other article states, right, Arizona Mexican Mafia, Arizona Mexican Mafia, and then that you read in here and they throw in the Arizona New Mexican Mafia. And it's just like, God, you really try to distinguish between the two, but it can get a little confusing, not going to lie. According to the present tense investigation report filed in Maricopa County Superior Court, Eppinger stated that upon his release from an Arizona prison in 1999, an 18-year sentence for kidnapping, he sought out a member of the Arizona Mexican Mafia, Hernandez, to see what he had been doing while Eppinger was in prison. They confronted Hernandez at the home where he lived with his girlfriend, Romero. Hernandez refused to go with them. Eppinger and the others left the house but returned a couple minutes later. Hernandez again answered the door and Eppinger shot him in the stomach. Romero ran toward the back of the home and Eppinger shot her in the back of the head. The shooting occurred on May 6, 1999. Around the same time, in March of 99, it was suspected that Gano, a member of the Arizona Mexican Mafia, was cooperating with law enforcement and was going to testify against the organization. Eppinger, then released, was determined to find him and began making visits to Gano's home. Gano was located placing a bicycle in his brother's truck and was followed by Eppinger and other members to a grocery store. Eppinger and another member there to hunt Gano, Sanchez, saw him running. Sanchez beat Gano with the stock of a shotgun, killing him. The killing occurred on May 10th, 1999. Gano's body was found with multiple gunshot wounds, including from a shotgun. According to the report, Sanchez reportedly told Eppinger that the murder would not have happened if not for his involvement. Eppinger told Sanchez not to discuss what happened. The next day, Eppinger was told by another member that Sanchez believed Eppinger would harm him due to having been scolded by him about discussing the murder the day before. Damn. Eppinger was also told that Sanchez expressed an intention to murder Eppinger first. Damn. While other members disagreed that Sanchez needed to be murdered, Eppinger devised a plan to make it happen. According to Eppinger, told him he had not been making any money for the organization. Hernandez was also known to be a heroin addict, which was a violation of the gang's rules and meant a death sentence, according to the report. A subsequent situation arose wherein Eppinger again sought out Hernandez for assistance but could not find him. Eppinger then told other members that Hernandez was avoiding him, using heroin and lying to them. While driving around with Sanchez and another member, Eppinger told Sanchez to stop the car so he could urinate. When stopped, the other member got out and Eppinger shot Sanchez twice in the back of the head. They put Sanchez's body in the truck. The next day, Eppinger took a different member to help him dispose of Sanchez's body. Eppinger said all these murders were planned and carried out on behalf of the Arizona Mexican Mafia. In 2000, the member who had helped Eppinger dispose of Sanchez's body was arrested on a parole warrant. He provided information that led detectives to where Sanchez's body was buried. The report included initial Phoenix police response to the murder scene throughout Arizona Mexican Mafia members at the time evaded capture. Eppinger's other Maricopa County Superior Court case involved an in-prison fraud scheme in which incarcerated Arizona Mexican Mafia members were illegally taking money from the Pandemic Unemployed Assistance Fund. That case includes 30 defendants who were also Arizona Mexican Mafia members and their wives or girlfriends, because you definitely need a lot of people on the outside to take part in that. And that's just a money-making scheme. And to be honest, they probably knew when you got a guy like Eppinger, he's already doing federal life. So what does he care if they're going, hey, man, look, we fill this paperwork out, we claim these unemployment benefits or these loans, we fill out these loans for these businesses that we don't have, we're going to get a bunch of money. He doesn't care, because what are you going to do? You're going to give him more life? You're going to give him he doesn't care. That's the whole point. When it's federal life, it's federal life. So, just gives you an idea, though, how violent this Arizona Mexican Mafia is. When you read that, that just gives you an insight, though. And that's the thing about gang life that a lot of people don't talk about when it's glorified, is you see that with the guy that helped him, Sanchez, the guy that helped him kill and dispose, immediately when Eppinger scolds him about, hey, man, don't talk about it, Sanchez's mind immediately goes to, oh, my God, now I'm dead. Oh, my God, now I'm dead. And then rumors happen, and people are telling Eppinger, hey, man, this guy might try to get you. And Eppinger's going, well, buck that. I'm going to get him before he gets me, and I'm the leader. So I'm going to tell everybody this dude's just a junkie and avoiding us and lying. Catch him slipping, get him in the car. Hey, man, pull over. I got to take a piss. Boom, 2 to the back of the head. Just gives you an idea what this stuff's really about. Anyway, just kind of a quick video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, peace.